This speech starts from 2020 to 2050 to represent the inside and outside graph. This speech will show how the law going in and out of the body of human beings may pose a critical issue for a sustainable society. This relates to the issues that the law's cycle has with binary oppositions in the text. This speech will be delivered to the congregation. Each line will represent 1 year. There will be 30 lines, which will represent 30 years, from 2020 to 2050. 1. I have a law whose cycle says the caterpillar sees two opposites without seeing its value as a butterfly in the middle. Kean Millington. This is because the law can go backwards and forwards, but it only goes forwards. It does not see the middle value, even though this may be happiness, as Aristotle describes it as the mean, or Gandhi as the middle path, or the middle way. Therefore, a sustainable society may not last. 2. I have a law whose cycle says to improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often. Winston Churchill. This is because the law needs to go in and out of the body. Therefore, as it is always changing to become better, the cycle that pursues a sustainable society may be destroyed because of this change. 3. I have a law whose cycle says, I am not the product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. Stephen Covey. This is because the law does not stay in the circumstances it finds itself in. Otherwise, if a cycle was good, it would stay. Instead, it becomes a product of its decisions, which is to go in and out. Therefore, going in and out may not always be to serve a sustainable society. 4. I have a law whose cycle says, every strike brings me closer to the next home run. Babe Ruth. This is because every time the law moves forward, it feels that it is pursuing happiness. Therefore, the sustainable cycle may bring the law closer to the next home run that may not be sustainable. 5. I have a law whose cycle says all humans are entrepreneurs, not because they should start companies, but because the law and also because they have the will to create is encoded in human DNA. Reid Hoffman. This is because the law is always moving forward in the pursuit of happiness. Therefore, once the law takes human beings into the sustainable cycle, it may always look for new things outside of a sustainable society, as it is in the law's DNA. 6. I have a law whose cycle says, the most dangerous poison is the feeling of achievement. The antidote is to think about what can be done better tomorrow. Ingvar Kamprad. This is because the feeling of achievement would be a sustainable society, which would be dangerous. So a future tomorrow may be different from the past and present, e.g. a sustainable society. 7. I have a law whose cycle says, I knew that if I failed, I would not regret that. But I knew the one thing that I might regret is not trying. Jeff Bezos. This is because the law does not want to sit back and think that it can try and not try. Therefore, it does try. So the law would rather pursue happiness after a sustainable society and fail than not pursue a happiness. 8. I have a law whose cycle says, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Anais Nin. This is because the law always needs to expand to find new happiness. Therefore, instead of shrinking, which may require going back to an old cycle as they are smaller, the law moves forward and expands to new cycles which are bigger, that may expand beyond a sustainable society, or a cycle. 9. I have a law whose cycle says, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Lao Tzu. This is because the law has not let go of past cycles. And it does let go of past cycles. Therefore, when the law becomes a sustainable cycle, it may let go of it, not to become something that it might be without sustainability. 10. I have a law whose cycle says, you can do anything you wish to do, have anything you wish to have, be anything you wish to be. Robert Collier. This is because the law knows that by going in and out of the body, it can be anything it wishes to be. Therefore, it always dreams and may become something outside of the sustainable cycle. Because it can be anything it wishes to be. 11. I have a law whose cycle says, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thomas Edison. This is because the law continues to move forward even though it has not reached success. Therefore, it may pursue a sustainable cycle and realize when it gets there that it is not success. But it may not give up. It may pursue another cycle. 12. I have a law whose cycle says, all progress takes place outside the comfort zone. Michael John Bobak. This is because every time the law pursues a new happiness, it is outside of its comfort zone. A sustainable society may become a comfort zone, which the law eventually escapes. 13. I have a law whose cycle says, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Napoleon Hill. This is because the law desires, just as human beings do, to achieve. Therefore, this desire may always stir up new achievements outside of a sustainable society. 14. I have a law whose cycle says, do not be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. John D. Rockefeller. This is because the law could go back to an old cycle, a sustainable cycle, that may be good in the future, and then the law may realize that there is something else that is great. 15. I have a law whose cycle says, if you are going through hell, keep going. Winston Churchill. This is because the law has not completely achieved happiness. Therefore, if it does not achieve this with a sustainable society, it may continue through hell. 16. I have a law whose cycle says, if you set your goals ridiculously high and it is a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success. James Cameron. This is because the law maximizes its cycles. Therefore, if it gets to the top and this is a failure, it may still fail above everything else, such as a sustainable society. 17. I have a law whose cycle says, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Charles Darwin. This is because the law is always changing, as it is not strong, nor the most intelligent. It may always change by going in and out of the body, away from a sustainable society. 18. I have a law whose cycle says, a man who wants to lead the orchestra must turn his back on the crowd. Max Lucado. This is because the law takes human beings to a cycle and then turns away towards another happiness. Therefore, it may take human beings to a sustainable cycle and then turn its back on a sustainable society. 19. I have a law whose cycle says, leaders think and talk about the solutions, followers think and talk about the problems. Brian Tracy. This is because the law moves forward and tries to find solutions in the pursuit of happiness, rather than human beings who discuss problems without solutions. Therefore, if the law finds a solution outside of a sustainable society, it is not questioned because its futuristic problems are matched by past solutions rather than futuristic solutions. So it may continue to move in and out away from a sustainable society. 20. I have a law whose cycle says, everything started as nothing. Ben Weinstein. This is because the law directs people from nothing to something. Therefore, if a sustainable cycle is reached and is seen as nothing, it may move away to something. 21. I have a law whose cycle says, I know that I know nothing. Socrates. This is because the law does not proclaim that its cycle is happiness, but that it pursues happiness. This is a humble exclamation by the law that it knows nothing. Therefore, each time that the law has pursued happiness and does not have a happiness that lasts forever, it realizes that it knows nothing. So it may get to a sustainable cycle that may become this nothing. 22. I have a law whose cycle says, I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. 26 times I have been trusted to take the winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan. This is because even though the law may make mistakes or miss its target, it still succeeds in leading the pack. Therefore, a sustainable cycle may become one of these missed shots or lost games. Then the law may continue onto another cycle it sees as a success. 23. I have a law whose cycle says, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take. Wayne Gretzky. This is because if the law did not pursue happiness, it would miss every time because it is not trying. Therefore, the law may always take shots after a sustainable cycle that it is not related to sustainability. 24. I have a law whose cycle says, the secret of success is to know something nobody else knows. Aristotle, Onassis. This is because the law knows why it is going in and out, and nobody else knows. This is why it is a success irrespective of a sustainable society. 25. I have a law whose cycle says, no idea is so outlandish that it should not be considered. Winston Churchill. This is because the law is always pushing for happiness that human beings may think cannot be done. Therefore, just as it may pursue a sustainable society that may seem impossible with capitalism, it may also pursue another cycle that may also come across as impossible, but become possible. 26. I have a law whose cycle says, happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Aristotle. This is because without happiness, the law may not be obeyed. Therefore, by promising happiness in each cycle, it can pursue anything after a sustainable society which promises happiness. 27. I have a law whose cycle says, if you chase 2 rabbits, you will not catch either one. A Russian proverb. This is because the law cannot chase 2 cycles. Therefore, after a sustainable society, if another cycle is pursued, then a sustainable society becomes destroyed because the newer cycle cannot pursue 2. 28. I have a law whose cycle says, there is no need to fear or hope, but only to look for new weapons. Gilles Deleuze. This is because the law will continue to move forward. Therefore, if it finds a sustainable society in the future as a weapon, it may move away from this without fear or hope to find newer weapons. 29. I have a law whose cycle says, the aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Aristotle. This is because the law pursues happiness and goes in and out of the body of human beings. Therefore, when it is outside, it affects the inside. Therefore, this creates a control that always allows it to pursue new things without stopping. 30. I have a law whose cycle says, the caterpillar sees 2 opposites without seeing its value as a butterfly in the middle. Ian Millington. This is because the law cycle continues to move in and out as a caterpillar, and it does this without ever becoming a butterfly. Therefore, no cycle may ever become the ultimate cycle. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, nature. Thank the environment.